I had a life that I believed had a formula. After a while, we start to lose sight of ourselves within our lives. My ability to breathe sheds light on many areas in their lives and enables them to see many things. When a child who has come into this world to be a light to others with his existence and to shed light on their behaviors is around, you can certainly feel it. As my deepest need is to bring my talents into this world, even just my silent presence in an environment, simply standing or sitting is enough for people to notice certain things. I want to progress in every area of life. I want to be both wealthy and rich, to live in better conditions, while also having a clear consciousness. The purpose of everything I convey to humanity, including the breath coaching method and all the other techniques I teach, is to bring the breath coaching system to Turkey.
Setting the standards and enabling it to become a profession. And we know you as the president of the Breath Coaching Federation, but in fact, you are a behavioral scientist. Could you tell us a bit about this journey of yours?
Great question, the question I was expecting, because usually this topic comes up in many of my interviews during this period, and I had already reminded everyone of the same in my TEDx talk. I believe that every person has an area of curiosity by nature, and right now there are many systems that recognize this and support children, such as the Montessori system. In fact, our education system is not one that guides children towards areas they are naturally curious about. As you know, the education system relies a bit more on rote learning, not only in Turkey, but also worldwide. I think there are many reasons for this. For instance, there is a lack of time and too many children, so when there is such a system, it is easier to progress by having them memorize certain things in a system like Montessori or similar, analyzing the child individually to determine their areas of curiosity, values, interests, and talents, and then continuing to test and guide them in those areas certainly requires much more effort. So it requires much more quality education, but it demands effort. I do not come from such an education system. If my family had guided me towards a system like Montessori when I was a child, or if they had tested and analyzed my talents and areas of interest at an earlier age, they would have likely realized that I was already curious about people and human behavior, interested in esoteric topics, on a spiritual journey, and even a spiritual teacher. They would have seen that I could perceive beyond what many people see when looking at the world in a spiritual and truthful sense, and that I had a much deeper relationship with life because of this. Therefore, they would have recognized that I possessed a guiding quality and ability, a natural talent for helping humanity, especially in connecting with their intuition, clarifying their minds, and transitioning to higher consciousness from a very young age. Although such tests are not conducted, my mother now says that she has noticed this in our conversations, because when a child who has come to be a light to others with their existence and to illuminate behaviors is around, you can certainly feel it. That's why my mother describes it as, our lives changed a lot after you were born. Our awareness increased significantly in the environment we were in, and our behaviors were changing. Even just my silent presence in an environment is enough for people to notice certain things, to change their behaviors, and to increase their awareness. That's why in courses like Upasana, my presence for 7 days in silence leads to incredible transformations in the courses where my students are seated, because my mere existence, that is just being there with them and breathing, illuminates many areas of their lives. And it allows them to see many things, to transform many things, and to become aware of many things. And in this, I believe that everyone in life has a talent. This is my talent, which is to somehow increase people's awareness internally, to help them notice things, and to enable them to instantly recognize the areas in their lives that are not going well. Of course, what I talk about is reflected not only in what I say, but also in what I discuss. And that's why I am such a popular teacher. Even when I don't speak, just my presence does this. My friends, who only listen and do not discuss these kinds of topics also say the same. My high school friends, middle school friends, elementary school friends, and our family friends all say that they have experienced this for years. If these tests had been conducted when I was a child, it would likely have revealed that I had such a talent, and guidance would have been provided accordingly. From a very early age, apart from him, it would become evident that my area of curiosity, my interest, was human beings, the nature of human behavior, the ego, why people behave the way they do, what the motivations behind behaviors are, what thought patterns exist, and which thought patterns lead to which behaviors. I was a child who was inherently interested in the language of human behavior. Of course, because these analyses were not conducted and I did not come from such a journey, I was directed to different fields with rote knowledge. The human mind is an extraordinary thing. Our perceptions and thoughts affect how we feel about our behaviors, and consequently they impact our entire lives. In this training, you will improve many thought patterns and habits that complicate your life, such as procrastination, limiting beliefs, judgments, prejudices, low self-esteem, and emotional burdens, because you will take control of your mind. This training is based on the DeMartini method, developed by human behavior expert Dr. John DeMartini. This method transforms our minds by asking a series of questions that help us go beyond our prejudices and perceptions, allowing us to see the hidden order in daily chaos. The DeMartini method is a technique that neutralizes individual emotional burdens, balances mental and physical responses, opens the heart, and clears the mind. One of the strongest, most effective, and most efficient transformation methods we have presented to date. Since my childhood, I started reading Schopenhauer and Kant at the age of 12 to 13, and as a child who became interested in philosophy. I began reading spiritual books at a very early age. I started spending time alone at a very early age, around 12, 13 years old. I remember being a child who loved being by myself at such an early age. When I was around people, I would want to go to my room, withdraw to calm down. I would write poems and keep journals which still exist. I have written about 10 or 15 notebooks this thick, detailing how this person did this and that person did that, and why things happened the way they did, exploring the deeper meaning of life. I wrote all of this when I was a child, around 12 or 13 years old, and those notebooks are still around. Therefore, I was a curious type about how human behavior and life are formed from a human perspective. And of course, along with this, a third area of interest became self-mastery, which means living life skillfully. And I have always remembered myself saying this since my childhood. I want to progress in every area of life. I want to be both wealthy and rich, to live in favorable conditions, and to have a clear consciousness. I always want to have a crystal clear mind. I want to be aligned with my life purpose. I want to live a meaningful life. I want to build meaningful relationships. I want to have a wonderful marriage. I want to be in a relationship. I want to have a beautiful family. I want to live at a high standard. In other words, I was a child who demanded the best and most beautiful of everything, and knew that I could achieve this with my own consciousness. And finally, I embarked on a quest for various methods to transform any area of my life that was not progressing. I set out to find these methods at a very early age. In my 20s, I started practicing yoga, began meditating, and traveling the world. After taking many courses in personal transformation and coaching, I realized that the deepest need in my life, and the most important thing that transformed my life, was the deepening of my relationship with myself. I achieved this through connected breath work. As you know, there are many other methods in my life, and many methods can yield different results for different people. My deepest need is to bring the talents I possess into this world, because I had a life until 25 years ago where I did not realize the talents and qualities I have, where I structured my life accordingly, lived a bit more by rote, and experienced life with a more conditioned consciousness. And here I was, conditioned by the circumstances of the world, trying to live according to the moral teachings of my parents, religious teachings, and social conditioning, believing that there was a formula for life. 25 years ago, while trying to live according to that formula, it seemed that what was more important was not what I wanted, but rather what was deemed right within the world system. Then this led me to a very deep sense of dissatisfaction. I believe many people actually start their journey of self-discovery in this way. If we have disconnected lives, if we have created disjointed life stories for ourselves, we eventually start to lose sight of ourselves within our own lives. I was on such a journey, and by the time I was around 21 years old, I had started to no longer see myself in my life. Okay, this life is actually supposed to be the perfect life according to the book. From the outside, it may seem like a wonderful life, extraordinary, super, filled with amazing wealth, a beautiful ongoing relationship, a lovely marriage, traveling in abundance, and having a lot of fun. I call it the Instagram life or the TikTok life. 25 years ago, it was the Instagram life, and within the TikTok life, while rushing from one invitation to another, appearing on the cover of a different magazine every week, it was a life that seemed to be a high society existence. I started to look at my life and realized that I couldn't see myself in that picture, and I felt very unsatisfied internally. I began to notice this because I started meditating. I entered a period in my early 20s where my awareness gradually increased, and it reached a point where I said, I don't want this life, I want the life in my heart. Thus, I embarked on a journey of self-discovery. I stayed in India for a very long time. I remained silent for 10 days during the silence rituals, and then I stayed silent for another 15 days. I turned inward and went through a series of processes. During these processes, I received training in India, the United States, and Europe. I have a period where I continuously engaged in various trainings for several years. Since I am a person with high awareness among these trainings, and I believe that my ability to connect with the truth has not changed regardless of this connection. Therefore, no matter what happens, because I am a person with a very high level of inner connection, conscience, and awareness, and because I am a spiritual teacher, I have come as a guide to help and support people. Even though I have attended hundreds of trainings, I have seen that probably more than 90% of the 200 or so were not very useful. So I saw that 90% of these systems are like a bit of masturbation, changing and spinning people within their own cycle, not actually achieving true change, but enabling them to adapt to what is. What am I talking about? Most systems say that in your life there is a person named Aishi, and that Aishi is annoying you. Every morning you get annoyed, and you learn a method that allows you to forgive Aishi or accept her, or whatever it is. Aishi continues to do it, but it doesn't bother you anymore because you have transformed into a noble person who is no longer disturbed. Most methods are like this, and it's actually a very exaggerated story. Because there, you don't transform into a sublime human or anything like that. If you had truly transformed into a sublime human, you would be experiencing that state in your life. And I believe people are actually deceiving themselves in the world of personal development. After spending enough time in that world, I started to say that there is something strange here, meaning there should be better systems that can transform a person's entire life. Because transformation is not something like that. I mean, when we change, I somehow knew this internally. So, thanks to that awareness since childhood, I knew very well that when I changed and my mind changed, my life would change, and that Aishi would no longer be a part of my life. So when we truly have a change in our consciousness, when we upgrade, we become what I referred to in the Evshen Institute curriculum as the next level humanist, that is, a higher level human. When we become a higher level of human beings and truly transition into a managerial consciousness, reaching a higher level of awareness, our life reality changes. Since our life reality is a mirror of our consciousness, it is impossible for our life reality to remain unchanged when our consciousness changes. It is physically not possible. So when you look at your life, if there hasn't been a genuine, tangible change in your life, despite receiving training at work or learning a skill, what am I talking about? If you were earning 1 and you are not earning 10, if you haven't upgraded, if the economy was soaring and your business hasn't started to take off, if you were 70 kilos but your ideal weight is not 50, if your skin was dry and hasn't started to glow, if you have a health problem that hasn't disappeared, if there are blockages in your relationship and you haven't stepped into an extraordinary relationship with a commitment that will continue for the rest of your life, if there are no tensions in your family and a peaceful family environment hasn't emerged, then if you haven't seen a transformation in the real world, it means that something hasn't transformed in your consciousness. And that's why when I look at the world, meaning the masses, I see that they are actually distracted by personal development and various methods, and I haven't fallen for that. Because my awareness was high, I realized that 99% of those methods, let's say 90, were completely useless. Within that 99%, I saw that some systems worked while most did not. I extracted the methods that truly worked one by one and selected those that taught genuinely effective things among hundreds of trainers. Thus, I created the curriculum of Nishensin over the years. Of course, among these methods, what affected me the most was that the curriculum had started to take shape along with the miracle course. Among these methods, the one that has most influenced me is breath, and because I have aligned myself with my own existence through the power of breath, allowing my abilities, strength, and guiding qualities to emerge, I have naturally tried to explain this method to people first, because it is very important for a person to strengthen their relationship with themselves in order for their true power to emerge during their journey of self-discovery and for the transformation process of their life to begin. The first step in the journey of mastery is to strengthen our relationship with ourselves. That's why there are still initial steps at Nevish Enos University to enhance our relationship with ourselves, and for this, breath work and mental exercises are very valuable. Breath means life. However, the breath that carries life to our body has never been as strained as it is today. The percentage of incorrect breathing habits has never been this high worldwide. Ineffective breathing habits are one of the main reasons why millions of people feel tired and exhausted today, leading to many health problems. Symptoms related to incorrect breathing habits can heal spontaneously by acquiring healthy and functional breathing habits. In this training package, you will first learn what dysfunctional or incorrect breathing habits are, the difference between respiration and breath, and how healthy breathing can create changes in our body and mind by balancing the chemical deficiencies of respiration. This information will also serve as a foundation for those who wish to continue with our breath condition certification program. We will continue this journey by conducting a detailed breath analysis for each of you. You will identify your individual dysfunctional breathing habits and delve into the underlying reasons, learning about the motivation and foundations of these habits, and exploring what you need to do for behavior change. My journey actually began 20 years ago with my teaching journey through the Miracle Course. The Miracle Course that carries my signature is often confused with the Course of Miracles. The two are separate courses. For example, the Miracle Course within Breath Of has been organized by me for over 20 years and is entirely my creation, featuring methods I have developed, infused with my presence and transformation energy. It supports miraculous transformations in people's lives and provides opportunities for healing. The Miracle Course consists of two separate courses. One is a 365-day mental journey with many instructors worldwide, and the other is the Miracle Course, which bears only Nevsah's signature and is regularly organized by Nevsah as a 5-day camp held in various locations around the world for over 20 years. In the miracle course, yes, breath was very important. I continued to talk about breath because it is a crucial tool for a person to align with themselves. But in fact, the purpose of both the miracle course and the breath work, as well as everything I have shared with humanity, including the breath condition and all the methods I have taught, was for people to master themselves and progress in all areas of life. Today, the aim of the Breath Hub application is the same: to make a start, to initiate. Yes, it is very difficult for a person to progress without a teacher, a guide, a true guide who can look into their life and shed light on the dark areas they cannot see, and without a mentor. I even think it is impossible. That's why, when there are people like me who truly illuminate the lives of others, students undergo a much faster transformation. In just a year, or even within a few months, many of my students' lives completely change. This is very, very valuable. That's why I know very well that the Brasov application is at a beginner level. While creating and developing Brasov, since it is an application aimed at the masses, and given that breath is a tool that raises awareness for so many people, as a teacher who wants individuals like me to be more aware, to recognize their lives, and to take steps towards transformation, it was very valuable to provide such an opportunity to those who may not have even heard of the mastery journey before. At the very least, facilitating an increase in their awareness and helping them discover themselves, enabling them to take such a step, was extremely precious. That's why Brad developed the Breath Hub application. It's a very nice application that continues to grow. Of course, our business model has evolved into different areas, as you know. Perhaps the next question is related to this.